telling you the reason why I don't want to take it out.
Yes, you find the curvature is nicer on these larger ones, but not really necessary on the smaller ones.
Sorry, I'll be right there.
Sure, no problem.
See the difference between that finish and that finish? And it's rounded a little bit. Just handles better. I'm gonna touch it over you, but. That's still sharp and that's
No,
not.
don't. Yeah, he requested that you don't take it out of the sheet.
Okay, now I'm gonna flatten that beaver tail. As you might imagine, you don't take your eyes off of that. When you go in there and you do any air at all,
It will burn up.
it's gone.
Go back and start to work. He's never done it, actually. Yeah, he's heard he couldn't done it.
Yeah. Flip a little bit of paper. It's still a little thick, tiny bit thick. But it's starting to get there. Keep in mind, I got to punch a hole, and whenever I punch a hole, it's going to widen just a little bit, and the string will move out and around the pin that's going to be here. But just me holding it up, looking at it, it's cooled off immediately, like that. So it requires me to, if I'm going to do it any further, I don't do it on the anvil while it's cold. You don't use, you don't deal with screen steel, especially. Spring steel will tend to air harden.
Then it ends up on the floor.
Yeah, so a 10 series steel, I use ADCRV2, it's not a 10 series, I realize that, but it works great, real soft, and, you know, for forging. This is doing great. The 10 series is what I recommend. Okay, we got that drawn out. I don't know what size to punch just yet, because I don't have that made. When I get that tenon made, I'll know what size. How long do I pull the tenon out? Longer, it's long enough to go through that and have a little extra. So there's some real logical question answering things you can just think about. It's a very practical way of looking at this. First, I'm going to pull, well, I'll try to pull one down. Actually, no, I think I'll do it right there. tell you why. Because we in the blade smithing side of things, we're taught to push the corners in. Very often it leads to a fish mouth. I'm going to show you what I'm going to set myself up for sticking my foot out, but I want to show you how blacksmiths, what their natural tendency would be to move, put a point on a bar. I'm going to be working about that. These are little box jaw tongs, again blacksmith style tongs, and a coal forge style set. In other words, they don't have a onset of range working in gas. I don't have gloves on, I'm working just fine. I can reach up in here this fine. I want the mass that's in that bigger piece, it's not as massive as that hammerhead or anything like that. It's more massive in relation to the tank, to the tail, a lot more massive. So my goal is to force that out without doing any appreciable damage to the tail. I want pop. No fish mouth, but I want you to notice that I was working like 75% this way, the rest of it 25 this way. And it's still kind of in line. It is doable. It's doable. You don't have to, by all means, do all your thinking before you bring the piece out. You don't want to, even if you get it to the right heat, you come out and you hunt for your grandma, hunt for something else, and you make up your mind, finally, it's too cold. It's not going to move the same way.
Yeah.
We are limited by several things. We have to remove those limitations. And the only way we can do that is by getting in front of it. Especially when it comes to timed events. Get in front of it. Stay within its bounds of time. Heat and time in this sense are almost the same. I think I'm just going to continue on hand forging this. Because on this one, I'm a little washed out because I was trying to use a power hammer. And I'm not happy with that spot right there. It'll still make it nice, for sure. But it just don't look the way I want it to. Pretty picky about that. I'm pretty picky about the looks. That was for you, Carl.
Thank you.
Carl and I had breakfast. Walking this morning. We got a lot of the world's problems solved. Over some.
And we made some problems that didn't even exist before.
Hey, it all balances out. Real gold. The difference between working at red heat and a bright orange, and even up into the white color shades, is tremendous when it comes to working the material. And I know we're working with carbon steel. I know that. But guess what color it was when they rolled it out of the mill and poured it and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, our understanding of what metallurgy is should be such that we can put back what we take out of it, more or less. Not carbon level, of course, but character. We put back the character that we took out of it when we come up to these 40 temperatures. My class this week has been hearing that so much that I should just let them tell you all about it. But we actually did a test where we reduced the grain, we shrunk the grain. We blew the grain up intentionally, we shrunk the grain intentionally. It's the same piece of steel. But I'm just kind of trying to nail this color the way I want it. That angle that I was on is important. I'm switching to the other side this time. gas pedal. So I lighten up a little bit. I'm out in the middle, in the open road, and I can really do the gas. The tendency, though, for a new smith is to beat a mud hole in the middle of the plate, because that's the biggest, safest area in the forge. So you still have to cover it uniformly. We've got three things we're working with, and I'm borrowing this, but it's a fact, no matter who says it. Time, temperature, and technique. Bob Kramer talks about three keys: time, temperature, and technique. So we're juggling those three things on the graph. Where one, we have to excel in one because of whatever the project requires. We back off on the other one or two. But they all have to balance out in some way. So time, temperature, and technique. For instance, I'm giving it more air. I need less time in the fire. I'm going to do a little overall straightening with a handle back with the, it's going to be the blade. It's not a blade yet, but it's going to be the blade.
Do you have a preferred radius for the edge of the anvil for when you set that? Or do you find it varies depending upon the size and the type of knife that you're doing?
It varies, but most of the time I want a radius at least somewhere down the length of that anvil. Within the mass. Within this main mass.
Are you trying for like as tight as the radius as the anvil will allow you? Or do you have like a preferred type of radius in general? Like an 1/8 of an inch radius on the edge or more of a 16?
I would prefer a tapered radius. That way I can choose whichever one I want.
So it just varies depending upon the type of knife you're doing. You don't have like a set radius you prefer?
Yeah, there's going to be times when you absolutely need a radius. I personally don't want to alter an anvil to an extreme, just based on my preference. Because I can make a tool that goes in here and get the same thing and not have all the damage to this thing. I consider these heirloom pieces.
Yeah.
That's the kind I prefer. It's one that looks a lot like that. It's a little bit shorter, but it looks a lot like that. This is a very big one. I have the brand is Hey Buddy. Probably weighs about that same. Got two of them. And I just if I need to go somewhere and carry an animal with me, and I can take the lighter one. I'm just working right here on this. brother, we used to build houses. I was on the roof, or on the rafters, he was on the ground. We teased him because he could walk over brick chunks and all kinds of stuff like that, broken blocks, do just fine. But flat piece of ground, he'd fall every time. That's kind of the way I am. Don't take a whole lot. So I'm going to start using the anvil more and more through this process. And this means that when I'm not coming out necessarily every time to the anvil now, I'm coming over here, so I've got to have a different means of holding this thing, because I'm going to be flipping it around or actually letting it spin and set it up, jaws. I need to be able to let it slip if I need to line up. That's kind of what I just want you to know that these are the things that you think about. What I'm doing there is lining up the tail with the blade. And I'm going to get this hot. We're going to work under that tail. Let me get my heart. It's a learning curve of its own. And you just kind of want enough coke in that pot, that duck nest of pot, to work with. And, we can build that up really high, fine. I'm working with a small project here, really small. I'm working with, say, make a hammerhead or something with some length to it. I needed to make some tongs and want to heat from here to here and straighten out to make some bends and stuff. And I might want a bigger hot area, a bigger fire. So you judge the size of the fire and the nature of the fire and the character of the fire based on the project. This white smoke indicates that it's coking, and some coal will have a lot of yellow in it, which is sulfur. You see that it immediately went from smoke to flame. The smoke and the gases coming out of that coal is flammable. So it's kind of an indication that if you were needing to do any clean work, like a weld, forge weld, that's just not time yet. Coke it up. The flame is not as hot as that hot coke. That hot coke is like exponentially hotter. Yeah, we don't want to put a fingerprint in necessarily, but you could put a piece of iron or steel in that flame all day long and it'll never turn red. Or at least not fast enough to use, so it just won't do it. And it certainly is not clean because that's going to soot up and be as far as welding and things like that. It's going to impede your work all the way along. You can't even see the color very well through that soot. The color of the steel as it glows. So I'm still coating this. The coal to coal is like wood to charcoal. You'd prefer probably to cook on charcoal over an open green wood fire. Clean, hot heat is what you want. That's what we want here with this. We're going to cook it up. Joe, you think I could get that little grinder and cord? Bring that little side grinder and use that there by the brick board. Side grinder is always good. Short cord, yeah. Plug in right there, but I don't know. So what he's going to get me is a side grinder. Now, I'm going to use my traditional way of cheating some of these curves, but I don't want to limit you to that many heats times in and out of the fire. If you want to go and make this, I highly recommend you get a side grinder and do what I'm about to do. It's not immediate, but it will be in a few minutes. Some of the profiling and cleanup, whereas we would normally take the time and file or run on file or something like that, I do it a lot. You speed this up quite a bit. Quarter-inch wheel that's not brand new.
Do I need to be over there?
You don't want to be on this side. You want to go park over there. Or you might want to stop right there and block the sparks.
Catch all the sparks.
We've really had a good week this week. This is not what we've been doing, but we've been making blades, intro class, intro to blades. Anytime I get a thought and walk away from this, shut it off. Anytime. I'm not going to, if I do, then there's problems going to happen right there in that fire. Essentially, these are the same type of tongs, but this one has a little bit different length of jaw and handle. And I find that these so different are important to me. If I got them, I'm going to use them. So Okay, so we're gonna start using the little tool that everybody's got, round bar. We can scrap this round bar. Don't take this as gospel, because this is just something I made to carry on trips. I got roughly a 3/8, roughly a 1/2 inch. If you measure them, they're probably a couple thousand bigger than each thing. And I got a little tool there I use on some other spots. But I'm going to go to the jaw, the vise. Okay, so to begin with, I want high heat but not extreme. I do not want to just keep going down until I drive it down into the vise. I do not want that. There's a good reason for it. You can see where I stopped. See the jaw where it slid? I stopped. Because I'm going to end up with an angle step just behind that right there. And if I keep going, I'm washing that out. I no longer have the possibility of having that feature that I want on there. I view it as necessary. So I stopped. But what I'm doing is I'm actually pushing material back into the back of the blade and giving this little corner right here the opportunity to push back easier. If that was totally ramp shaped, it wouldn't go back, it would just go back into itself. By pushing that in, it can go back some. That's a principle we've talked about, not just on this style knife, but on pulling a drop choil down in the blade. So the next step will be to use the same tool. Now that time we went this with a bigger one. This time we're going to go right here, the smaller one. But we're going to do that on the end.
Then you say that rounds about 3/8 inch.
This 3/8 and a half. And I just narrowed down a little bit of it because I can throw it in the bucket and have both of them. I don't have to find two tools. I found one. So if I lose it, I'll lost both. But that's not usually going to get confused with something else. That's weird enough looking that you know it has a purpose and nobody's just going to pick it up. Usually they wouldn't pick it up and walk away with something like that. At home I use a hold fast to hold this. I'm not real sure if I'm going to ask for help or I'll use the power handle maybe. I'm going to be real careful with it though. I sure don't want to crush anything. I will for that power. See, I got a start of it. see that bumping that in and bumping that down, it sort of pushes out the part that I'm trying to make. Right there.
Sorry.
This way.
Got it. Thank you.
So I'm probably going to go ahead and use the vise and hand hammer. That was a little bit question. It's time now for me to do a little grinder. Be patient with me. I'm gonna shoot sparks in.
I don't care. Go ahead.
I'm just looking to see if there's any gas cans or anything. So that little bit of time did something to it. So we're good. Now I want to check something. It changed tones.
You have a goal for the dimensions of that tenon?
I have a goal.
For the dimensions of that tenon? The size of the
I want it to be sufficient. I'm not trying to be evasive with the answer. I want it to be sufficient to just hold it. It's not like it's going to unwind and spring out there and hit somebody. It's steel. It's locked into place, but it's also it's going to be there. It's like the blacksmith knife. It's going to be there regardless. What I'm doing now is estimating where my vise is going to be. You see this slope and this slope, and I commented about how this project is developed around these three tools. This angle is not really an accident. It has to do with having access to some of the tools. And you'll see even more on how that vise comes into play.
Your vice might differ.
It might. But a common blacksmith leg vise has an angle that is comparable to this. Now there's some that come up and they do have more of a flat spot. But you know what I do if that happens? Slightly change the angle of things on that knife to accommodate the vise. And usually I'm not going to be so far out that the results are too dramatic, you know. Pretty good there. That's got a good smooth through to it. And I want that to be hot part. I'm just letting it slip down in there where I think it needs to be. I started a tenon. Right? And I'm going to turn it this way and pinch it again and then do it once more both ways. see, it'll cool off immediately when you put the pressure on it. But all we've done is just change the name of this. It's now a screw press.
A what?
A screw press.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's, you know, I just want to use it, that feature, the ability to put some pressure on it and adjust real quick, just like that, real time. That ability is I'm eyeballing the step that I had before, and I've got a nice little pinch going. Let me go back this way. That gets longer and longer each time I do that. So as far as the dimension that was referred to earlier, so secondary to the fact that you had it faster. I wouldn't want it to be a 16, but I don't want it don't have to be a quarter. You know what I mean? Quarter inch. One way, I'm holding it from the side, because I have to access it from the side. It's coming up here, it's perpendicular to these jaws. The other way, I'm holding it this way. And since that is a rectangular shaped tail, it puts snap 190 degrees in an instant. So get a good grip. Longer each time. You don't see that? Got that little, I call that area standoff. That's the standoff, and there's the tenon. So the standoff is the part that just stands off from the rest of the knife. I got it turned down, the blast is coming up, so it's hitting this area first. No need to heat up anything I want to heat. So I'm just fiddling with it a little bit, but if I can get it to get in there and get me a good bite. I just need that to be long enough to go through there and have a little bit of a head on the back side. Close? Yeah. One more time. I keep a bunch of these grinders handy. I got one with this type of wheel, I got one with a cutoff wheel, 16th inch cutoff wheel, and I got one that I just do whatever I need to, or put even diamond wheel or anything like that on it. I keep those handy, just if I need to clean up around that little tenon. And I leave that square, by the way. I leave that square. That tenon needs to be square, in my opinion. Then I can take that, either one of those wheels, that one will probably just make a mess of it. This kind of wheel. But that little thin one, you can really get in there and just kind of, do a good job. cleaning that tenon up. So it's bumping now. It's bumping the shoulder. It's forming the shoulder. Now, this kind of stuff goes. If you ever just have a cold, rainy day and you just don't want to stay in the house, you want to get out and have a fire and just kind of be by yourself and work, this is a good project. Take all the time you need. It's better to take all day to make one of these knives successfully than to try to set yourself a time and rush and do a bad job, because you can always get faster. You're not going to get better by forcing time issue, so don't try to do it fast. Get all the moves down. It's got a shoulder now, so I can take him in for that. Now, I'm going to do a little more cleanup with the grinder. But I can see now where clearly, more clearly now, what I've got to work with. Thank you. I believe I'll be okay. I believe I will. I've got a tapered punch, and I think I can drift it out on this 2x8 or 2x10, whatever it is. I'll lay that up here. Or put it in the vise and use the edge of it, whatever. Okay, so we've got a good standoff now, and we've used grinder, we've used the tools. So now I'm going to refine the thickness of the blade and establish this step. And now I actually know what side hole front because I can look at that.
And you could hot rasp it if
You absolutely can hot rasp it. Any of those things, yes. In fact, I mean, like I said before, if you don't hot rasp, never have, and you just want to work into this slowly, you got a grinder, I'd use a grinder, but you don't have to. The first, well, that has these things I made, but the first several I done completely by hand and punches and gripping and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't, I kind of set myself a limitation on what I use and how I went about it. I wanted to do it, but once I got that down, I figured I learned the right to use the grinder here and there. It's kind of like using a power hammer. We really need to do is learn to do it by hand first. If we don't understand the geometry and the principles of forging the blade, getting all that down first by hand, we're not going to go to a power hammer and all of a sudden we're good at forging. So the same way with using any modern things to speed it up. I'm not putting any air on this. It's got a good hot fire. staying off all that other stuff right now. Completely off. Keeping it off the animal, and I'm not touching it with the hammer. If I touch it with the hammer, all I want to do is the most is just planish or flat. That's all. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, and I know a lot of you know this already, but I'm gonna put this over the hole, the hardy hole, supporting it both sides. And just give it a give it a place to go in that void. It's still kind of low rip, but I want to show you something good here. Still using the radius edge, but I'm turning this. I'm gonna do a back level on the spine at a low heat. And this way. Grind a blade like this. If you back bevel the spine just a little bit, the grind goes up and away, and it doesn't go out the top of the blade.
Ooh.
You're tucking the spine in just a tiny bit. That gives you that nice little up and along the spine until it disappears. So you're preparing this blade for the grind. Doing it at low heat. So I'm working this edge right here, I'm working in parallel with that step that's going to be there and just sharpen it up. All right. Well, we'll just take up with this again this afternoon, and I will show y'all how we do both of these. I like this one better. But we'll get back on it. There are going to be variables in it, variations in it. But that's something else we need to know. When to be satisfied with that. Okay, well I'm going to clear up my stuff and get out of the way.